welcome to Sinister Cinema Solo Reviews without Kaylee.
Wait!
Because who needs her?
You need me.
So Kaylee and I have been watching a lot of Giallos or Giallis lately. And I have this triple pack here with the Bloodstained Shadow, Short Night of Glass Dolls, and the one we're going to discuss right now, Who Saw Her Die. We watched all three of these in a row, and we're here to talk about them. So I think that with this film, the most obvious comparison to make is how similar this movie is to the Donald Sutherland film Don't Look Now. Oh, so much so that when I was watching this, I was like, is that a remake of this? Because this came out 1 year before that. And I was like, wow, this is like super similar. Like, I was really surprised at how like the same this movie felt in a lot of ways. So I was like, okay, that's odd. Coincidence? I can't see how, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, the problem is that we watch these movies and then they're convoluted and they're already hard enough to follow, even though one of our commenters says he has no problem ever following any of these stories, and you're smarter than us. We try, and we always are questioning things while we're watching to each other, like, wait, what the fuck? Who's who again? Why?
Yeah.
What's happening now? I always find these movies to be so hard to follow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because I'm not conditioned to them and we're like Americans that usually have our hands held during films, and our films are always like, here's what's going on, idiot.
Yeah.
And these movies
I
are
don't
like,
think it's that.
it's this person. No, just kidding. It's this person. No, actually, it's 14 other people.
You know, and it truly isn't every Giallo film, though. There's plenty of Giallos that we've watched that I don't feel like that's the case. Like, is there always, like, you know, like a secret killer? Yeah, there usually is, but it's not necessarily so convoluted. But these three in particular, like, I thought the last group that we watched was a little confusing at times. Those make perfect sense compared to these. Like, I felt so lost in all of these. And I was really trying to pay attention, and I don't really know what it is that's making me so confused, but I don't know.
Okay, so as far as this one goes, we do have this opening. So obviously, child death is a pretty frowned upon thing in film, and American films typically don't do it.
Yeah.
And so when you see it, it's pretty jarring and shocking. And this one's right out the gate. Just, you know, pulls a kid off the, like, snow skiing or something like that. And it's been like fucking almost a week since we watched this one. But just, and it doesn't look real, but it is pretty visceral here. You get this, like, rock that's just being smashed into this kid's head.
Yeah.
And then they're just, like, really quickly trying to bury their body in the snow and doing, like, a super piss poor job. Like, I don't even understand what was the point. It's like, you're not, unless you can push them way deep down and, like, really cover them over and make no track that they were there, then their body's not going to be found for a little while to give you time to get away. But the shittily way that this body's covered, I'm just like, that literally, all that did was waste time you had to get away.
Yeah, 100%.
But they ended up getting away anyway. Then we, like, go to Venice. So, once again, God, there will be somebody who's seen this movie and is like, what are you talking about, idiot? How do you not know everything about this movie? I honestly, I didn't even realize, like, I still don't really realize or understand how that first murder was connected to this story, and, like, why we go from, like, the snow to Venice. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
But what it does do is it sets the stage for a couple things. Number one, we know that the kid that's in this movie is in peril.
Yeah.
Right? And that's typically not something that we feel.
Yeah.
But as soon as that scene happens,
you're like,
oh shit, all bets are off.
Yeah.
This kid is probably going to die. Yeah. I don't know for sure, but I liked the suspense of saying to myself, oh, this kid definitely could die at any moment.
Yeah.
And usually kids have plot armor in horror movies.
It really shows you that she's in danger.
Yes.
And I agree. I think that's a good thing that it does. Because, I don't know how it's connected to the rest.
Also, another thing that does, because we are, as humans, very protective of children just naturally, what it does for us is it then creates... So a lot of giallos have to create red herrings right and left, right? And they introduce... This is probably one of the reasons why it's hard to follow. They introduce like 15 different characters and make every motherfucking one of them look like a suspect and give them reasons, right? So what it does is it shocks our system by watching a kid violently murdered and then discarded like trash.
Yeah.
We then are very protective and on the lookout for anyone. And we're primed now to think that everyone's a threat. Mm-hmm. That these kids are in danger and that we need to be on the lookout. So like, somebody who watches way too much news, right? I had a client yesterday. I love her, but she is somebody who is like so traumatized by what she watches all the time that she's just like talking about how if anyone in their school was to do anything without my permission, I'd fucking kill them. Oh my God. I'm like, whoa, let's calm down a lot right now. Yeah. And this is like how we become. Like when someone, because people are like, oh, come on, it won't happen. When you know what's happened, when you watched it happen, it's very hard to take them out of the situation and be like, no, it's going to be fine. No, it's not going to be fine.
Yeah.
I saw that it isn't fine. And so we start to blame and look, everyone's suspicious to us.
Yeah.
Instantly. So the movie doesn't even have to try that hard to do what most giallos do. Right. And is create endless red herrings.
Yes.
So like every single person who comes into the film, we're immediately like, are you going to kill this kid?
Yeah.
Are you gonna fucking do something to this kid? Who are you?
Yeah, I actually quite like that too. Like, I know we were saying that it's confusing and stuff, but that aspect of it I enjoy. I like that you're suspicious of everybody, and I think that in this movie too, like all of the characters that are introduced like are legitimately suspicious. Like there's something like wrong with each one of them, so you're like, I don't know, it could be you. And I do like that because it does make you try and pay closer attention to the film, whereas like sometimes in other movies that are like a similar theme, like they kind of give away who the person is too quickly. Yeah. Whether intentionally or not. And with these and this one, I felt like, you are wondering like who's responsible.
Oh man, you could never guess who the killers are in these because usually
never
in the
been
end,
able to.
The reason is so fucking ridiculous
These
that
are
it's like it doesn't seem fair.
Like, wasn't it, I don't know if it was the guy who wrote Sherlock Holmes or something, but like, isn't there some saying about like a good mystery is good because if you are a detective when you're like watching or reading the mystery, like you can actually figure it out before the end? I don't feel like these are that. Because there's definitely some where it just comes out of the blue, and you're like, oh, okay, that's like somebody I never even met. Like I didn't even know that person existed. But
the breadcrumbs they give you, the connective tissue they give you, they don't give you the important bits of connection, right, or connectivity. Mm-hmm. So when you are shown these images of like a little kid going, ah, and they keep doing it. It's not in this one, but it's in another one. You're like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? And then when you find out in the end what it is, you're like, there's no way I could have ever connected that. Yeah. I don't know what that means. Yeah. Right? So it's just kind of like random imagery that makes you go, that's something. I don't know what that thing is. So it's like one hand, they play their hand too much. And then in another one, they're not playing their hand at all. Right? Yeah. So you're like, you get kind of screwed either way. It's like, I don't want to figure it out too early. But I also want to have the chance of figuring it out. So
well, it also gives like rewatchability too. Like if you don't figure it out the first time, but then you watch it and you're like, oh, it's them, and then you can rewatch and be like, I see the signs now.
These twists are never gonna have the impact of something like a Sixth Sense or something, where it's like, oh my god, all of the breadcrumbs, all the connective tissue is there.
Yeah.
And when you rewatch it, you go, fuck, I didn't notice that no one was talking to him the whole movie.
Yeah.
That's that kind of shit where it's very, very rewarding to go back. And these, doesn't matter. You can watch it once, you can watch it 15 times. All the, like, hints, and they're just not there. I'm sure there are some.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say every single one of these. But every one we've watched, which I've watched probably 50 now. It's always like that. It's always like some random ass person who their motivation is always like, I'm actually closeted freaking homosexual. And homosexuals are evil. There's a lot of that in these. Like, I'm a cross-dresser, and of course I'm a killer, because I wear women's clothes, and I'm not a woman.
What did you think of the dad in this one?
So the dad is played by George Lazenby, who was a Bond. And he's an interesting guy. So he plays Bond. He kind of cons his way into becoming James Bond. From what I remember, he was like axed from ever being Bond again because he was like too dangerous on set and was like too much of a liability. And then he lost like 30 pounds for this movie.
That's a lot.
For whatever reason. And then I guess he's still alive to this day, but supposedly I watched some little thing on him for a minute. Supposedly like after this movie, and maybe it was another movie or so, but like not shortly thereafter this film, he like took whatever he had and just like got on a boat and just left and just like disappeared from the world for years.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of some kind of recluse, just like, screw it all. I'm not playing into the system.
Yeah.
You know? So cool on him for that. The dad is kind of meant to be a shit.
Yeah.
There was another aspect of the film I didn't really understand. So he has a wife.
Yes.
The blonde, who's the chick from one of the other Giallos that we just watched. She's the wife in the one where everybody betrays each other, and the rat has the cat has the dude in the wall in the end.
Oh yes.
Your body is, or your vice is a locked room and only I have the key.
Yeah, that one.
I'm pretty sure that's her. We watched so many of these in a
that
row. Pretty sure that's her.
Okay.
Right? That's her.
I don't know. You might be right.
I'm pretty sure. Anyways, moving on. So, regardless if that's her or not, I was super confused because, like, I think they're still the thing, maybe, but he's fucking this other girl, and that's who he's screwing when his kid dies.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, daddy's gonna go screw some girl here, just, go out in public by yourself.
Yeah.
Now, this is the 70s, a little different times than we have now. We don't just, like, push our kids out into, the city while we go have affairs. But he starts blaming himself in this, and the wife's kind of like, oh, it's not your fault. And I'm like, oh, it's his fucking fault.
I mean, like, he should have been watching his kid for sure. He's definitely culpable in that. For sure. But I'm sure, like, the time, it's like, oh, what can you do? You can't watch them all the time, but
yeah, you can.
You can watch them most of the time.
You can watch them all the time, and if you can't watch them all the time, then you need to get someone who can.
Yeah.
That's called babysitters and friggin', grandparents and whatever.
Yeah.
You figure it out. I have 2 kids. I've had them for 11 years, and in those 11 years, they've been alone 0%. 0 seconds. They've been alone in like a house or by themselves. Like, there's no. Absolutely not. Anyway, so the music in this, if memory serves, another one where I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this is the Ennio Morricone one, where the kids are like like singing.
Yeah,
with it.
I did like that. I think the music is pretty cool.
That is really off-putting, and I want to
Yes.
say one of the reasons it is because the kids seem like they're offbeat with the music purposefully to make it like feel off-putting.
Jarring, yeah. I think so. I did quite like the music in this. I thought it was... a lot of Giallos have that iconic music, and I do really love that about them. So this was a positive for me in this film.
The killer in this reminded me very heavily of the Bride in Black from Insidious 1 and 2. And I like that we get some POV through the black veil.
Me too.
Which was cool. Always love that POV in these. But, you know, they're giallos or giallis. You have to always suspend massive amounts of disbelief. Because, like, there's a chick who gets... it's a chick. She gets killed in, like, a porn theater. Right next to a bunch of other patrons. Yeah. You know, people who enjoy fine arts, such as pornography. She gets murdered right there, sitting next to a whole bunch of other people watching a movie. Yeah. And no one notices.
I know.
Strangled.
That's very,
it's like,
major disbelief.
What? There's no way. Yeah. You could strangle someone to death like they do around an entire theater of people and no one notices.
Like the movie theater kills, because there's many movies that have that in them. They work when it's like the theater's mostly empty and
they're in the back,
very dark or whatever, and then it's like, oh yeah, that could totally happen. But when it's like
they're surrounded by people,
when there's a lot of people and it's like bright and everything, there's no way, dude. Yeah.
We also get a Bob style death in here from Halloween where a guy's stuck up on a door with a knife. I do always have to wonder where everyone gets their inspirations for things. I have no doubt Carpenter was heavily influenced by a lot of Italian cinema that was coming out when he made his POV shots and all of that. And to see a guy stuck up on a door like this with a knife, I'm like, yeah. I mean, do I think they're rip-offs? No. I think that those are seeds that get planted in your mind. You might not even remember you saw it in anything.
Sure, yeah.
Or you just straight up ripped it off. How the fuck do I know? There is this guy who loves to, I guess, go around and show people his mother's porn. That was odd. I know he's like upset about it and he's like trying to figure it out and all this stuff, but usually when you first meet someone, putting your mom's porn on the TV it's
not usually the first thing you do.
It's not my go-to. Yeah. It's not my go-to.
You wait till like maybe the third hangout.
At least. Yeah. Good hosts aren't like, here's my mom getting bent over by 3 guys. That was an interesting aspect there. The burning body falling out of the window like 17 different times.
I know. I love that. That happens a lot in these Gialli films too. In these Giallo films, that people like they'll do the...
We're going with Giallis.
They'll do the crazy like multiple angle like shot like again and again and again. It's fun. I like it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's it again. It's a different angle.
So I read something on this where people speculate that the reason that the ending has a priest killer and that the priest is found out to be like a fake priest is because the Lucio Fulci movie that came out maybe a year before this that dealt with similar themes and the priest ended up being the killer in the end. He got like a ton of flack for that because they're like, how could you make a priest a killer? That's so sacrilegious and this and that. Yeah. So there's actually speculation that this movie came out a year later and the priest was a killer and they were like, but he's not really a priest. He's a fake priest.
He's not a real priest.
So don't come at us.
Yeah.
I find that to be super fascinating.
Yes.
like to avoid scrutiny.
Isn't it?
You just throw in last minute like, no, he's not a real priest, just so you know. Don't come at us, bro.
It still feels like it would be offensive or sacrilegious because he's like masquerading as a priest.
I would almost feel like they would be like, yeah, get that freaking dirty wannabe,
that poser,
yeah,
freaking poser priest,
yeah, impersonator,
yeah, the imposter,
the imposter, yeah, I could see that. I don't know. Who saw her die? That's the question that the title poses. I would say the killer.
Yeah,
the killer.
We saw her die.
We, the audience, and the killer. That's who saw her die.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of either.
So who saw her die? Nobody.
Us.
Yeah,
nobody.
That's
us.
it. There's like a pedophile ring in this. He goes and goes to this like lawyer or something, and it's like, he used to fucking rape kids.
Yeah.
This is like, that's one of those things. It's just like everyone's suspicious, everyone's a killer, everyone's a potential suspect.
Everyone sucks.
And then it's like a fake priest. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I gotta watch this again. I don't know. Maybe one day. But right now, I don't know. I always enjoy these, though. Like, even though I'm confused, I always enjoy the style.
Me too.
I think the Venice setting is beautiful.
Yes.
I always love how these look.
Mm-hmm.
I love the style. I love the music. I love the ridiculous characters.
Yeah.
I love the absurd reactions people have to things.
Yeah.
I love the dialogue that seems so nonsensical when it's happening. I don't know. It's a fun time.
It is.
But it's never rewarding in my attention.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? Like,
I agree completely.
I try so hard to pay as close attention as I can. And then in the end, I don't feel like I'm rewarded for it at all.
This is why Giallo films feel like vibe films.
Yeah.
Because there's so much about like the aesthetics.
But I want so bad to figure it out.
I know. But then it's like always some person from elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's like, it was me. Even though I guess this character was, he was in the movie the whole time. But whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. We're going to move on. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.